I'm Ross, the curious parent.
And I'm John, an education expert.
This is From the Sidelines.
Bite-sized study tips to help you help them through.
Well, John, I've got to confess, I'm feeling a bit sad actually at the minute.
Why's that?
Well, we're reaching the end, aren't we, of season 1 of From the Sidelines, and it's been a blast, I think.
Well, that tells me you must have enjoyed it then.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we look back on the topics that you've covered, right back at the start in terms of organisation planning, all the way through to mental and physical health, through to preparation, hydration, looking at how parents and carers really can play an active part in children's lives in terms of preparing them for study and for success. And all of those elements together, I feel it makes sense how they come together in one big piece to give that superpower. But equally as well, I think what's been really good is understanding that each of these individual aspects can be vital, even if we implement 1, 2, 3, or 4 of those as we go through. So yeah, I know we've had, and we've mentioned it before in terms of engagement with people that have been listening and watching, and more than anything, I think that says that hopefully people have taken the information from this and they've put it into practice, and it's made a big difference. And ultimately, that's why we decided to do it, wasn't it?
Absolutely. We just wanted to kind of give people that information in really bite-sized chunks, make it really simple, make it easy to implement, and give people as many golden nuggets as they can so that they can feel empowered as a parent to help at home, to create the right study environment, to help make sure that their child is in peak performance, mentally, physically, etc., and so they can feel that they're doing their part to help them prepare them for school, for education, for exams, and for whatever life throws at them. So yeah, I agree. It's been great to see all the feedback, and yeah, it does. It feels strange to be on this last one of this season. And when you reflect on all of the topics we've done before, yeah, it's been a great journey, and really, really pleased that we've been able to do this and to engage with the community of parents out there who have responded. So yeah.
And just for a final time, obviously this is one part of it. So we've got the podcasts. We also have the 1 minute kind of study videos, the hacks. And we also have the infographics as well, which are essentially graphics can be downloaded, viewed, and hopefully play a part in putting into practice some of those topics that we've mentioned and discussed. So without further ado, on to the final topic in this season.
Yeah.
Tell me what it is.
Movement and exercise.
Movement and exercise. Okay, so within this, and we think back to what we've covered. A lot of the kind of elements that we've covered within this are about academic, about the education element. What we're saying here is about the physical aspect as well. Why is it important that we think about that and consider the physical activity of our children as part of this whole process?
Well, ultimately, it's just a really, really important part of staying healthy. That actually we know that to stay healthy is, movement and exercise is a key part of that. And ultimately, if we want our children to be healthy in mind, they need to be healthy in body as well. So actually, that's saying that healthy body equals a healthy mind. We need to make sure that they are moving, they're exercising, because that is also a key part of that learning process. Because if they're too sedentary, then it starts to reduce their ability to do all the things we want them to do, which is to be at peak performance.
So why is this?
Ultimately, when we exercise, our body releases what we call some neurotransmitters. Things like you might have heard of dopamine, serotonin. Things that these things actually help to enhance our mood, our ability to concentrate, our ability to be attentive, to understand what's going on around us, to be able to recall information. All of those cognitive demands. Actually, it's very interesting that by doing something physical, it helps us mentally, and it improves our ability to do that. So, we want that for our children, and we want them to be able to do that. And as I said before, if we get into a stage where they are healthy and they are moving and they're being physical, also as well, it's the social aspect of it as well. Going out to clubs or joining teams or going to classes, that kind of stuff. We know that there's a social element, and that's a reason why a lot of adults actually join teams and classes. It's not sometimes purely for exercise. It's the social element, and it's the kind of human connection with other people. Again, that's what we want for our children, don't we? For them to be able to understand a team, how actually you've got to give to get something back, discipline, working together, understanding rules, regulations, time, all those type of. So all of that is really, really important. So all of that put together can make a big difference to their learning processes.
So I get why it's important. I understand that, and I've always felt that activity and exercise is important to the general overall mental, physical health, of course. However, we've mentioned before around study plans, more of the kind of education aspect, if you like.
Yeah.
And I'm really intrigued to understand, are you trying to tell us here that what we should do as parents and carers is actually within those study plans build into it blocks of physical activity for our child?
100%. Yeah. The study planner is there for you to plan, yes, their study, but also other things around their life or your life as a family to make sure that those things aren't forgotten. So if we think about the fact that physical exercise is really important, it's making sure that actually we are planning that in to the weekly, the daily, or the monthly planner so that we don't forget those things. So it might be a walk around, the estate, the town, the street, the village, wherever you live. At the end of a couple of sessions of revision, it might be that it's about putting in the fact that they go to football at 6 o'clock on a Tuesday night, so you don't forget that. Therefore, I think we've talked about this before, but therefore you need to have your tea a bit earlier than that, or after they come back. We do that in our house. That actually, it's like, right, what time is my daughter going to football or cricket tonight? Well, she's going at this time. Right. Well, therefore, we probably need to have tea after that because it's quite early. Right. So she can then do some work before she goes. So it's just planning those things in and putting those blocks together about kind of how it would fit so that you don't forget that physical exercise is really important, because there is a tendency, especially around the nitty-gritty of exam time, when people perceive that they need to do more and more and more, is that they forget about the physical side, they concentrate on the mental side, and it's all study, and that doesn't do anybody any really good because it creates this kind of cognitive information overload. We're not moving, we're just sat in front of a desk, and it's just not really good for us.
So are you saying that within the study kind of process, within doing so, that we look to maybe break up parts of that? Or we've mentioned before, haven't we, about the habits, the rewards, all of those different elements that come into it. Are you saying that we break up those study pieces with physical activity?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Ross. Yeah. And we've talked about before something called a Pomodoro technique, if you can remember back to one of our early episodes, where we said that we should really only be studying for 25 minutes at a time with a 5-minute break. Now, the 5-minute break isn't just sat there in your seat doing nothing. Actually, the 5-minute break should be get up out of your seat, move, and even just walking downstairs, walking to the fridge, getting a drink, going to the toilet, wandering to the front door, back door, getting some fresh air, in that 5 minutes, that acts as almost a physical reset. It gets us up out of our chair, it gets us moving, it gets the blood flowing around our body, gets the oxygen going back to our muscles, it gets us, rehydrated if we take a drink, etc., etc. All of those things are great in that 5 minutes. If you just have a 5-minute break and don't leave your chair, and you just reach for your phone instead, or you just sit there and kind of close your eye, you're not getting the benefits of that kind of proper rest and exercise period. So get up out of your chair, move around, and if you're building those things in and seeing that 5-minute period as an exercise period, as well as a rest, it's a mental rest, but a physical kind of recharge, then that's going to start to make a big difference. Because when your child comes back to their desk or their designated study place for the second Pomodoro, they should be more alert. They've had a proper break. They've had a time away from the desk. They've recharged their eyes a little bit because they're not staring still at the book. They're in a different condition. They might have been outside, got some fresh air. They feel hydrated. They feel ready to go again. And it's a little bit like a half time in a sporting occasion. The second half, they're ready to go again because they've had that exercise, albeit in sporting terms, it's the opposite. They've been exercising and then the rest. You've been sat down. You need the exercise, and you're ready to go again.
And whilst we're calling it exercise, I think just to make the point really clear, physical activity, as in walking down the stairs, walking around the house. We're not talking about them kind of doing 40 press-ups. We're not talking about them necessarily going for a quick 5-minute jog. It's just doing things outside of a seat, outside of the same room that breaks it up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Getting up, moving around, increasing your heart rate a little bit by walking up and down the stairs, getting a drink, etc., and I suppose loosening off a little bit. We know that at our age, that actually if you sat in a chair for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, when you get up, you feel a little bit stiff and you feel a bit, oh God, I've been in the sit, or you've been in the car driving for a little bit, you feel a little bit. So getting up and just loosening in that time for those 5 minutes, when you get back, you do feel mentally and physically ready to go again. And that's the whole idea of a 20-minute Pomodoro, is that you don't then do 2 or 3 hours work or study in one period, because fatigue sets in and your ability to concentrate drops dramatically. So you think you're working hard, but you're not. 25 minutes, that's it. Stop, physical reset, mental reset, go again with another kind of push of energy at the start of the next one.
And whilst we talk about this from a children's perspective, as we've always said throughout this as a kind of common theme, from an adult perspective as well, this is vital advice, isn't it?
Of course it is. If you are sat at your desk at work, or if you are sat at a desk or a table at home, try and, as much as you can, break up how long you're sat there for by just forcing yourself to get up and look out the window, get up and go to the toilet, get up and make a cup of coffee or a drink and go get a glass of water. Just by getting up regularly, and I don't mean every 2 or 3 minutes, but 25 to 30 minutes, get up, walk, have a walk, and then come back. And you will hopefully feel that mental and physical refreshment that we've just talked about, so that you can start again rather than and losing concentration halfway through and thinking, I haven't been out of this chair for 2 hours or 3 hours and I've still been sat here. So it's really important to do that. And I know from speaking to lots of adults who I then say, they say, well, I can't do that. I'm on a Teams call or a group. Well, you can potentially turn your camera off for a minute or 2 minutes. You've still got the audio on. You get up. You don't have to leave the room, but you get up out of your seat. You wander around a little bit. And, we talk about that on airplanes, don't we? We talk about getting up for that reason and going to the toilet, stretching your legs, coming back. The same should apply for our children and us as adults when we are learning, concentrating, or doing anything that is over that period of time. So absolutely, this is about how human beings react and what we do in our bodies rather than just children.
Disclaimer though, we're not responsible if anyone gets into trouble for leaving a Teams call and switching the camera off. That's number one.
I didn't say leave the Teams call.
Okay, all right, yeah. No,
I just said you might want to just, or even if you're fairly bold about it, leave the camera on.
Okay.
Just get up and have a wander around.
Why not? Yeah.
And just
John Tate told me.
Yeah, if need be. Yeah. I don't mind
that. No, that's great. And a final point, I suppose, final question on this one is, if we, again, look back to distractions, if we look back to making sure that we use the time most effectively, if a young person is concentrating on that Pomodoro time of 25 minutes, they know what's coming after the 25 minutes. And we've kind of agreed that you've got that 5 minutes to do X, Y, Z, whatever that might look like. That all culminates in effective study habits, doesn't it?
Of course it does. That's the reward on the horizon.
Yeah.
It's the motivation to work hard for 25 minutes, and in that 5 minutes you can get up, go to the toilet, you're going to get a drink, check your phone for notifications if you want to, get some fresh air, have a little wander outside, that type of stuff. Right, 5 minutes is up now, pass me your phone, second Pomodoro, let's go, let's get on with it, and agree. And like you said, it's pre-agreed. It's not sprung on them at the last minute. We've agreed it. We've talked it through. This is how it's going to work, and then everyone knows the rules, really, the house rules of how study is going to be performed, and that'll make a big difference to everyone, rather than that last minute challenging of, right, I now need you to do this. Well, no, I don't like that. Go through it all in advance, plan it out, sit down, talk about it. Don't try and exert your parental influence on them as they're about to start doing it, because it's probably not going to go well at that point.
There we go. Mic drop. We've done it. We've reached the end of season 1. And as we said at the start, we've covered so much. I think we've been really broad in terms of the topics, and I've really appreciated, all of the information that you've shared and the way of doing it in terms of giving that advice, understanding, but also then the practical kind of tip around how that can be implemented. And I've said throughout all of this, that I have done some of these. I've implemented them myself and my own children, and I look forward to implementing more of them as they progress throughout their kind of school journey. And we know from people that have shared that they've absolutely taken on board the kind of topics that we've covered, the way that we've gone through this, and we've seen some real great impacts, haven't we, in terms of the work that we've done and the advice that you've shared. One other thing as well is that we're really thankful to, obviously, to everyone that's listened, that's watched, that's shared. We're thankful to our supporting partners that have helped us to get to where we are now in terms of actually putting this program together and creating this content. And I'm thankful to yourself, John, for sharing your wisdom and your advice with me, because genuinely it has been absolutely fantastic.
Thank you. It's been great to work together on this. It's been great to put this together. It's been great to hopefully help other people that are in our shoes as parents, and it's been great for me to use the experience and knowledge that I've picked up over the last 20, 25 years working in education, but also as a parent now of two teenagers, to put that all together and think, what would I have needed? And what do I still need as a parent, and how can I kind of, even though a lot of it's not rocket science, it's out there somewhere, but it's distilling that into something that's really simple, really easy to use, and really practical. So it's been great. So thanks, mate. We've really enjoyed it.
Are you looking forward to the challenge of coming up with some more tips and tricks for season 2?
Always looking forward to that, and there's always things that we can do as parents to make things a little bit easier, a little bit better. So
I'll help you some organisational techniques to get you ready for coming up with those, if that's all right. So that is it. That's where we are. We hope you've enjoyed being with us in season 1. We hope that we have provided tips and tricks and advice that help them through, that have developed the parenting carers superpower. That's why we set out on this journey, and that's hopefully where we've taken you to. We look forward to seeing you though again in season 2.